Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 24 of the Fast Motor Podcast. Elijah, my dad, Randy. We missed a week last week. The real world caught up with us and both had busy work weeks and just couldn't wait. We decided we'll get a two-parter this week, covering the racing over the last 2 weeks. So, without wasting any time, get into it. Starting with USAC stuff. Just an interesting story. If you were listening to us, we talked about KKM not having the dominant speed. They were up front, and particularly like Jacob Denny was fast, but he kind of has to always start deep. Well, USAC ran at Sweet Springs, Mitchell County, and Jefferson. Sweet Springs, Gavin Miller for KKM won, and then Mitchell County and Knight won at Jefferson. Jacob Denny won for KKM, and then Kel Drake picked up the finale at Jefferson in their little Midwest swing. But yeah, interesting. we talk about people. Like, well, yeah, great, and then they go and win.
I don't know that anybody that we've done this long enough to realize that if we're talking about somebody like what's going on, what's happening, why aren't they competing, shortly thereafter they win. So
100%.
I don't know that we're the opposite of a curse. If we're talking about you, you're likely to do well.
Yeah, we're the reverse commentator's curse. So
yes.
Outlaws ran Hartford and Wilmot. Sheldon Hodenshield picked up a win at each. Buddy Kofoid picked up a win at Wilmot. The Ultimate Sprint Car Series had 2 nights at Ocean and Petaluma, won by Caleb Montgomery and Caden Sorali. Wish that Flo would cover more of those races, so I don't have to. Following through social media, and their social media, they do a good job. Melissa's gotten better, or she's gotten somebody else involved with it. I don't know, but they've done a lot better at getting their results out quick. So I get to see them, but I wish I could watch those races because those are always a good show. NARC was up at Santa Maria. Caleb Montgomery got the win there. He is the 10th win. He was the 10th winner in as many races.
Wow.
10 races for NARC. So if you want to see some variety of winners, tune into the NARC Sprint Car Series out west, and they put on some good shows, some good races this year.
NARC just seems to be back on the forefront again.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's now at the hands of Sweet, correct?
Yes, he's got some sort of involvement in it.
So, growing up out west, like NARC was, Brent Kading, like the Ronnie Day, sprint car guys, that was just a known and very competitive group of people. They could compete with the Outlaws when they came through. And then it kind of dwindled down, and it just feels like it's on a resurgence. You got Montgomery, you got Sanders, you got,
Dominic Selzy.
Yeah, you have those competitors back to running good local races, but then also, on a national level, very competitive. So great for that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's good to see a local or at least a regional when out-of-towners come in that they're holding their own and competing for wins. So that's always fun. Makes it like a posse type rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Going down, CRA was at Paris. Connor Lundy picked up his first career victory with the CRA series there. I took a really cool picture of him at Ventura in a midget where he's biked up or wheels up out of 2. So happy to see him win. Wheeling Modifieds were at Claremont. Patrick Emmerling got his first victory of the year. And then Lime Rock, Thomas Annunziata picked up the ARCA win there. I believe that was the second year in a row for him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trucks, Grant Enfinger got the win after Lane Riggs and Honeycutt. There was some attrition. Gio Ruggiero, I think, dumped somebody or got shoved from behind. Somewhere there was somebody kind of doing something dumb that took out some fast cars or some fast trucks. Enfinger ended up getting the win. He was fast as well and held off Landon Lewis there at the end, which he has proven himself to be a pretty versatile racer as well. So trucks are putting on some good shows. There's some different characters up there, so that's fun. I like I said, we talk about it a lot. We like to see different winners. And then Atlanta, Justin Allgaier won the O'Reilly race. Remains on fire this year. And then Ryan Blaney, after a long break in the Cup race, and after he got a nice nap in, won the Cup race. Before getting into this week, Atlanta raced a lot different this year. They weren't straight up pack drafting. Now at the end, and everybody was tight, they kind of were. But like when I didn't watch the end, which I kind of want to get into that a little bit. With Wilkesboro was better, but a little, it's like Sunday night races. Talk a little bit about that. But I watched the first stage, and like they spread out. Like there was like a group up front that was kind of single file, and then a big gap to another one. Like it was different. There was still, the draft was huge, obviously, but it ran very different than Atlanta has been running.
I think you're seeing the track weather and become more handling, and so you always had. I think previous you could design and prep the cars for speed, and you had enough grip that they could hang on. And I think there was a lot of talk prior to this. Do we go for downforce and grip, or do we go for overall speed? And I think what you're seeing is the track deteriorate and lose grip. And so handling became, paramount, because you saw a lot of cars that didn't qualify well find their way to the front just because they could drive. And so, I think it's a great mix of both, to be honest, where you have, the restricted type track. I don't even know what they call it, because it's not restrictor plate racing, but it's all I know. So,
drafting track.
Yeah. But then now handling comes in. I mean, Daytona used to be that way, especially in the heat of the summer, with July 4th was always the race. And it just gets so hot and slick that handling became even critical. So I think you're just seeing that happen there.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, that's good for racing.
I agree. Because it still has the excitement factor of who's going to get the run at the end, but it creates different storylines throughout the race, where it's not just honestly pointless unless there's a crash. So yeah, that was interesting. I do, again, want to touch on Sunday night races. And now I know you can't control the weather, but I'm not even on the Eastern time zone. And they were like advertising, like Ryan Blaney took a nap between his race, and they like made it fun and funny. I had to get up early and go to work on Monday. We had camp. I had to get up and be there by 8:30. I couldn't stay up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to watch this race. I don't like that races are starting late on Sundays. If you're going to run a night race, I want it on a Saturday. I love night races. Make it a Saturday. And I know TV is probably who primarily makes the schedule. But that's just.
Well, I think they've tried to play, the NFL became very successful with nighttime games, Sunday night games and such. Racing's obviously, you can't plan for the weather. You can't dictate what that is. But, you run that risk. And that's, a lot of the South, especially, like you're going to get those rainstorms. So, yes, I think there's a lot of factors dictating when and how that goes, as they try to find what works. I have to say it, and then there was a lot of complaints about the streaming platforms of being on Prime and that, but they can manipulate so much because you're just another channel that they add. You're not moving something out of the way that's pre-programmed. So there's a lot to the streaming where they can push them up, they can maneuver, they can run them when they want. Yeah. I think we're seeing firsthand the benefits of streaming services. We're not dictated by,
what else is on TV.
Mm-hmm.
True. Yeah. And, then they had to run at Wilkesboro. They almost ran into a similar issue. Now that one kind of once it got going, it was pretty efficient. But they couldn't run it during the day because the World Cup was on. So they're obviously competing with that. But yeah, and the other side of it is I wonder, just with a late Sunday race at Atlanta, how are, and I didn't see the numbers, I didn't look at it, so I don't really know how are the ticket sales doing, because if you're going to be there late at night on a Sunday night and you got to get back for work, like, and you got kids, and now it's the summertime now, but like, I'm sure they wouldn't do that during the school year, but like, you got kids that you don't want laid out and you got to get up and go to work on the next day. Like, just the balance of selling.
I wonder really how much, like, and I don't know, so I'm naive into this, but I really wonder how many fans are expecting to go to work the next day, or this is part of your vacation that you take that day that you travel back. Maybe. Or you build that in. And I have to think, I don't know that I really would love to know from a racetrack's perspective what the in-person attendance matters versus what they get for the TV money.
Yeah, no,
it obviously became secondary because
very much became secondary.
It doesn't seem like they care, they care to the magnitude of they once did, but I don't know. I'd like to know what that percentage is of what's best for our fans in attendance and what do we need for the TV contract, because that's what pays.
Yeah, butts on the couch seem to pay more than butts in the seats.
Yeah.
But you also don't have the expense of – there's more expense related if there's more butts in the seats, because, you got more cleanup and you have to hire more workers the more people show up. So I don't know. I don't know where that balance lies, but it's definitely changed. And then one other storyline from that week, the IHRA Stock Car Series axed for the remainder of the season. They said they want to gear up and get ready to put a good product out for next year. So they say the plan's there. We'll see. Obviously, that one hurts like our good buddy Peyton Hamlet and Cole Baxter, who were going to run that series, and Peyton was going to make all those races, and Cole was going to run some of the pro stuff. Obviously, that changes their plans pretty drastically for the season, as I'm sure it does. There was a lot of racers, I'm sure. So
yeah, I mean, to me, that's just death. The series is dead, because what driver or team is going to plan on that next year, knowing what happened this year? Rumors are many haven't been paid. There's lots. Yeah. There was lots of turmoil on the IHRA, as far as the president being let go, or all, just so much has went on. To me, there's very little hope. Yeah. And so then what is that, what is needed for, stock car racing? Marcus Smith is now bought in more into cars. It's gaining its momentum. It's finding a pathway. You have Dale Jr. sitting in the booth on flow for it. It's, which is great, right? There's nothing, that's incredibly healthy. But then where do you get this next kind of startup level? And we won't say that because those guys are all veterans, but kind of
a little more budget friendly
option. And what does that look like? I hope they can begin to put something like that together that makes sense. Even listening, to Peyton, buying the right stuff, building the right kind of suspension, like all that had kind of changed, like where he thought they were good, and then something changed and they were off. And so, what do they build where somebody can put a crate motor in it and build a car and go on an affordable and be competitive. So this will open the door for somebody to do something.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, kind of just like you said, just an unfortunate deal. Anytime a series shuts down. And yeah, there's very seldom you see a series shut down and then actually come back in full strength. So okay, transferring into racing from this week. There's a lot of wing sprint car racing going on. High Limit began at Fremont. Saw Brent Marks pick up a win. That team has found speed, and they're dangerous when they have speed. That's a dangerous organization. Then the Outlaws took over for the Brad Doty Classic, which saw Bryce Lucius, a local Ohio racer, young kid, pick up a pretty big win there with the Brad Doty Classic. So pretty cool there. And you saw the emotion when he was getting up and getting out. Like, pretty cool deal. Always when you, like we said, like when, we talked about earlier with the NARC guys, when they, out of towners come in and he's local to Ohio. That's out at Attica. Cool deal. So cool to see him get the win there. Then they went to the big track, Eldora. High Limit started with the Joker's Jackpot, their prelim day. Brent Marks, again, picked up his. Corey Day picked up his, and the A and B split. And then the big show with the six-figure payday on the line, and Kyle Larson and Rico Abreu Kyle Larson and Corey Day were exchanging sliders first. Day ended up getting in a little too deep, got in the wall, and then Larson and Abreu went to battle in some of the best racing I've seen at Eldora with wing sprint cars in quite some time. And Larson got the win. Picked up the big payday at the Joker's Jackpot to kind of kick off Eldora for setting up for the night for the King's Royal, which saw the night before won by Corey Day, and the finale won by Anthony Macri. Interesting thing about the racing, especially at Eldora, High Limit to Outlaws, cars didn't change. Some guys were consistently fast across both, but you saw some drastically different performances across the two sanctions. I don't know if it's with the format and it suits somebody better. Because like Anthony Macri wasn't fast all week. He just wasn't up there. Like, he wasn't great. But, and this was actually Mom let me know this. I didn't know that the previous year's winner gets to pick when they qualify on King's Royal Day. So Macri got to pick when he qualified well, started on the front row, and there it went. Just interesting. And I don't know. I've seen it a lot, honestly. Like, you have like a Tanner Thorson who's tearing it up in High Limit, and then he's like early in the year would go over and run some outlaw shows, wouldn't be as fast. But you had High Limit guys that were maybe struggling that would go over to the Outlaws and have speed. So I don't know if there's a difference in the way that a difference in their format that just favors certain styles to others. It's just interesting to me.
Yeah, because I don't think there's a tire or there's not an engine.
No.
There's no engine setback stuff or, so
the only thing I don't know is if they have a different wing rule, but I wouldn't think so. So it's just interesting because they're running the same stuff, but you'd have different guys that are just, and it's any given night in sprint car racing, but it's just interesting to see the difference. I mean, Corey Day was fast all week. But there's some different guys that were up front at the other.
That is interesting.
Actually, I'll keep the wings on. The NARC Kading Classic out at Watsonville. Dominic Gordon picked up night 1 win. Shane Golobic picked up night 2 win. Again, a lot of different winners out there. Some good racing. And then we'll go to pavement wing sprints. Skunk Cup was at Magic Valley with the Speed Tour sprint cars. Night 1 saw Willie Ginn in the grip suspension house car, the red 61. It's a pretty car.
It is.
Win. And then Mike Magurdio won on night 2, which he was starting to run a little bit more each year with the wings on. So who knows if this sprint for the million survives another year. Maybe we'll see him go back national sprint car racing, which would be fun because that's who I grew up watching and that stuff. So it's fun to see him back around and running and fast has success in a car that's, I think, old. I think it's the same car that he ran like back when I watched or something like that, or it was around. I think I remember talking to him.
Yeah, I don't know. He puts good stuff together, so I'm sure it's a very nice piece. So, and which you have to have, but he's a smart racer. He's kind of old school, smooth and fast that way, and
I'd say I don't know that age actually matters in those in terms of the car because you got Cody Swanson in that 50 car that's 20 years old or even more. So, all right, we'll take the wings off, take the sprint cars, put some fenders on. Slinger Nationals. Did you watch Slinger? Or was it not on your algorithm? Wild racing. You saw Ty Majeski up front, and then gosh, who knocked into him, and then they took each other out, and then man, now I'm forgetting. Now I'm blanking on that battle because then it was Carson Brown and Morrissey taking each other's fenders off, coming to green. 2 jumped restarts by Morrissey. The second one they let go, and then Carson Brown was like, "No, I'm not letting you get ahead on this next one." And I mean, just into him. Now, when Morrissey got into the wall off of 4, Carson Brown did not actually get into him. Morrissey bounced off the wall and into Brown. So I think they were just leaning on each other so much. And then, Morrissey crossed him over down the back stretch. Monster trucked up on the right rear because Brown chopped to try and block. I mean, just beating the doors off of each other, which let Casey Johnson, who has won about every late model race in the Midwest that you can win, hadn't won the Slinger Nationals yet. Casey Johnson is now a Slinger Nationals champion, very successful racer out of the Midwest region. So cool to see him win. Just a good old school late model guy, but man, wild racing at Slinger.
No, I think it tends to go that way, right? Just because of
especially the summer.
Yeah,
and slick and
tight corners, and they banking turns them in a hurry, and it pushes you to become aggressive. So yeah,
it was a fun one.
It's a big race. Those guys want to win it, and then they're there only to win it, really, right? I mean,
yep. It was a good one. It was definitely worth the price of flow to watch it at home. It will be worth the price of admission. It's on my bucket list, absolutely, especially after watching it this year. I mean, it was wild. So fun racing, good hard racing. Sticking with some late model stuff. Cars Tour at North Wilkesboro. You kind of saw like not 2 identical races. Caden Honeycutt swept the pro and late model stock, but at the end he was out front. Pro late model TJ DeCare was coming, getting close. Late model stock, Corey Heim was coming, getting close. You kind of saw 2 identical finishes that both saw Caden Honeycutt winning. So good races there. Would have been fun for it to go a few more laps.
He is dominant in that car right now.
Yes, both of those cars, that 54 and the 17.
I mean, he is good. Yes, I was catching. I caught the race with Heim catching him, and just thought it was really interesting where Heim has boldly said, Caden needs to get thicker skin and step up a little bit. Which I don't think I would ever want to hear that from another driver. Don't say anything. Like, yeah, I don't like it. I don't like that comment. And I know it's trash talking, and that's kind of what, I would say 2311 is a little bit about. But I'm just not a fan of that. Just be respectful, and I get it. Like Caden Honeycutt stepped in that 11 truck and it won, how many races last year in a championship, and, probably should have won the championship the year before. And that's a lot. It's a lot taking on, and a lot of pressure. And you can see that pressure's eating at him. Mm-hmm. So it's probably the healthiest thing for him to jump in those, cars and go win those races, those big premier races. And then he's got to find a way to do it in the truck as well. Mm-hmm. So,
but they're not as, I don't know if they're not as good or if Front Row's program has just really stepped up, because Lane Riggs has been the fastest truck. Out everywhere. He's got the speed right now. So
You don't know what's changed and what's going on, and the all and even driver connections and communication. Heim had been with Zipadelli, right? Is
I
crew
think
chief
so.
and for years, now. So you learn. I know, Dave, that crew chief, the truck that's behind me, he knew what I needed, or knew what I wanted. And then Gary Showalter, when I was with the Citgo truck, Gary could tell by my voice, to the level of what I needed. I think the teams now require even more communication than we had then. But working with somebody and knowing what a driver likes or wants. And Caden's still fairly new in the truck, so I'm sure he's still developing that. So,
absolutely.
But it was coming close to being quite a race. It's been real interesting.
Yeah, no, it's when you're watching and you start to go, he's getting close. Oh, it's over.
Yeah, there would have been a bumper.
I
think there would have been a bumper right back too.
Oh, absolutely. And not that I care between the two. I don't really care who wins. But you just want to see that kind of exciting racing.
Yeah.
So always, again, good stuff. Cars Tour putting on good product. Sticking with the Cars Tour, going to the Cars Tour West, Idaho 200 at State Line. Kevin Harvick picked up the win out there. And our buddy Riley Robert, who was on when we had him, and Riley Rogers, he was flagging. So he's flagging with the Cars Tour West now. So cool for him. He got to be the flagman for a Kevin Harvick win. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
In the home state of Idaho. So yeah, Idaho 200 at State Line. Kevin Harvick got the win. The very clean car, which I think the last time he won, I don't think the car was as clean. I think there was some beating and banging. But West Coast, especially in the Northwest right now, late model racing has really come back too, with Harvick's involvement. So that's been cool to see. Sticking on the pavement, Rich Vogler Classic at Winchester, and a car that has won a lot on pavement, but not a driver who has won on pavement. Briggs Danner in the 77 car got the win, dominant fashion. Dakota Armstrong was coming at the end once he finally got by Leary. Place is tough to pass. But yeah, Danner, drove a heck of a race on the pavement, not being a pavement guy. He's becoming quite a racer.
I lost you forever. So you just said Classic, and then I didn't have anything.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go back and edit. I said Briggs Danner picking up the win in a car that's won a lot on pavement, but not being a pavement driver. Super cool to watch. He dominated. But yeah, not a pavement guy, but he's becoming quite a racer on all sides of the ball. So
yeah, he is a talent. We talked about it. I think we talked about it very early on that you better watch out when he figures out how to put races together. He is going to be incredibly competitive, and he is everything. He is all that right now.
Yep. In a midget, he's had some success at Chili Bowl. He won the BC 39. He's got Silver Crown wins on, I think, the dirt and the pavement now. Sprint car, he's always a threat to win. Yeah, he's legit. He's a kid that I'm becoming a fan of just by watching him race.
Yeah.
Usually I like to see the person, I like pick guys I like based on their personalities or whatnot, but I'm becoming a fan, just not to say I don't like him as a person. I just don't really know much about him as a person, but watching him race is fun. I love watching him race.
Yeah.
Wheeling Modifieds, they were at White Mountain, and I said Patrick Emmerling got his first win of the season earlier. He got his second win of the season there. It's Modifieds. Again, races, I don't watch a lot of modified racing, just because I don't have the time, because trying to watch everything is tough. But always some really good racing with both the Wheeling Mods and the Smart Modified Tour. Fun series to watch. Those guys race hard. So good stuff to tune into. Then we head to North Wilkesboro. Truck race was dominated by Chandler Smith. I mean, he was the largest margin of victory ever. Something.
Yeah.
Gone. Like just gone.
Yeah.
1-2 for front row, but yeah, Chandler Smith backed up last year. A little bit controversial victory last year. Not due to him. It was, I think, Lane Riggs and Corey Heim got together. Chandler Smith said, yeah, no, I'm going to earn this one. And that team put together one heck of a piece, and he drove the wheels off of it. So dominance there. And then the cup race. Dominance, not a huge margin of victory. Denny Hamlin was about 0.8 of a second behind him for that whole end of that race, but Joe Logano absolutely dominated. It didn't look like he had to the distance looked like he had to sweat, but the way that car was driving didn't look like he had to sweat. Now it was hot, and I know he was sweating, but cruising, picking through traffic.
This was an interesting race, right? Like, you have a facility that is, somebody posted today, it's the Fenway Park of NASCAR. It has all the old school look, and it's kind of retro cool. And then you had a race that was kind of retro cool. The fans have been wanting this. And, if you read social media and I think I want to say how I say that a little bit. We all generalize fans as one, yet some fans wanted that. Some fans wanted, thought they wanted old school racing, and then they get it and they don't want that. And then you have some that loved that it was just what it was, like old school. So, it's hard because I think, if you really watch social media, I don't know. It's a split of what people want. And sometimes they want what's best for their driver. Sometimes they want, what's worst for somebody they don't like. Like, I don't know that it's necessarily what I think people want a great race. I think they want a battle, but there were comers and goers and some drama, and, you had the lap traffic, and then you had, Riley Herbst just doing everything he could to hold up Logano. Then you had Blaney.
I hate that. I wanted Logano to punt him.
And I don't think you were far from it, other than he didn't want to caution either, because then you have
exactly.
There. I guess Blaney, reading some of the social media, Blaney I didn't see the blocking near to the level of Riley Herbst.
Chopping him going into the corner.
What's that?
Riley Herbst was chopping him going into the corner.
Well, and he was driving everywhere that Joey was trying to drive. I didn't like that. I don't like that. Let the guys go race. We don't need team orders doing that, but it is today.
Not even a teammate to Denny Hamlin.
Yeah,
Denny Hamlin was just his boss.
Yeah, but it's a manufacturer.
Yeah, I get it. I get why he did it. I don't like it.
So supposedly Blaney did it too. I didn't see that.
Well, if Blaney did it, he did it after the fact.
Yeah,
because he caught Blaney next. So.
And so then you had that happening. You had, the track. You could run low. SVG ran low the whole night. Obviously with tire wear, you rolled up. You had SVG, almost winning the stage. I have to say, so complimentary of the job he's done learning ovals and running a tire wear race. He's really good that way with the throttle. So it's not shocking to me completely. Mm-hmm. A short track probably drives more like a road course in the aspect of
it's not super, super banked.
Right. I didn't love his blocking on a short track. So aggressive to Ty Gibbs.
That early.
And if that happens later in the race, he would be sent. But he's coming along, especially what's probably more impressive is, Ross Chastain being a great oval driver is not doing well and doesn't look, and SVG is leading that camp, and, poor Zilich is just having a horrendous year. I'm sure he just can't wait for this year to be over and kind of start again. I saw a lot of people, that liked the race. The black flags for many for the week were Hendrick has got to find some speed. They just look horrible. Two laps down.
Well, here's the thing. They had some speed. Now, they didn't have race winning speed, but they had 3 cars with easy top 10 speed. But because Alex Bowman decided he wanted to pit from the fence and come across Tyler Reddick's nose, I don't know if it was on the spotter. I don't know if it was on Alex. I don't know. He was running the fence, and all of a sudden he decided he was going to come across the entire track to pit while they were all on pit road and trapped them laps down.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson almost got back on the lead lap after the broken wheel and all that stuff going on early. Like, he was on the lead lap. Like, he stayed out really long at the end and then ended up going 2 laps down because he just tried to run long and get a caution so he could stay on that lead lap and pit. Which, if there had been a caution in that last stage when Larson was still on the racetrack, he comes and gets 4 fresh ones after everybody else had about 30 laps, 40 laps on their tires, and we could be looking at a different race. But caution didn't fall. I think that they just got screwed by a horribly timed caution. Because
but you know what happens? That's what happens when you're trying to push things. Like,
well, they weren't even trying to push. Like, they were in Byron and Elliott were in the top 10.
I'm just saying those bad days happen when you don't have speed and you're trying to find, make speed. Like, when you can get out and you have the confidence that you can play the game and run, you don't put yourself in weird positions. And so the bad stuff starts happening when you start trying to make up for other. They've not been good for a while, not as a holistic team. You'll have Larson find a way to find speed. I think that's when you see how good Kyle Larson is because he figures out a way to be fast.
I think it showcases how smart Chase Elliott is as well, because he's been getting really good finishes and he hasn't been fast either.
Right. And he finds a way to finish
fast, but he doesn't always necessarily finish great. Chase Elliott that team figures out a way to finish well.
Yeah.
I think somebody posted like average speed throughout the race, and Chase Elliott and Byron were both in like the top 5. And they pitted on cycle. It wasn't like they were trying something aggressive. Like, they were on cycle with everybody else. They just caught it worse. They weren't the only guys that got caught a lap down. Like, it ended up lapping like 7 extra guys.
Right.
Which is why we only had 6 cars on the lead lap finishing. Now, with that long end of the race run that Logano put on, I don't know that the story would have been any different, but it might have been. It was old school, for sure. Which some people liked, some people didn't, and you're never going to make everybody happy with a quality race. I'm okay with having that kind of race every so often. I definitely don't want it to be every race where there's only 6 cars on the lead lap. But every so often there's going to be a beat down.
And you appreciate it, you like it. I'm happy for Joey to get back to victory lane. They've had a tough year too. He's marred way down in points. Ford has not been good this year. Blaney won last week. Joey wins this week. I mean, I don't know if that says Ford's back, but they certainly
but it helps
a little bit. You had Todd Gilliland get a top 10.
Yeah, the Fords were solid this week.
Yeah.
Like Busher, who was up there. Keselowski had a pretty solid run.
I think they've been good on the short tracks, though.
They have.
Yeah. So I don't know that it's overly shocking. And Joey's just been good there. It's funny because when they first went there a couple years ago, he was one of that did the tire tests. And then when they went back for the All-Star race, he like whooped them on them that one year or whatever. It was super good.
Well, the most last year as well.
But he found something. He knows what he needs there, which is real good, and not good for others. When a driver knows what he wants, then that makes a difference. So I think, you and I talked a little bit offline, get away from all of this. I think it's, I ask you, yesterday, if you guys were going to the IndyCar race at Nashville, and you're like, I didn't even know about it till 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I'm finding myself in the same boat everywhere right now with, I know Cup is likely going to be on a Sunday. I know, something's on Saturday with the trucks or the O'Reilly series. But I don't know when USAC's running. I don't know when High Limit's running. The algorithms of my social media, because of, whatever, are not popping up, and I don't know. I don't want to say it's because of the social media accounts of these programs.
No, they're posting.
Are they posting, but are they advertising the next race? Or are they posting their stories? Like I just saw.
High Limit always posts the next race. They do a really good job. But if it's not coming up with whatever your feed is, like it's very easy to miss.
You and I talk about USAC nonstop on this. And
9 hours ago, they posted the sprint week schedule. USAC did.
Okay.
They also have their full schedule, sprint cars, midget, silver crown, all together, pinned on their Instagram.
Here's what I fear sometimes with racing and social media is, and I have some involvement in this, so I have a little passion towards this, but having an outsider almost do the social is better than somebody that lives in the world of it. Meaning they look at it from strictly of how to acquire new fans, how to think that way, how to do that, not becoming part of it where you're so ingrained to almost accept everybody knows what's happening. And, I've heard MRN people, people like, I don't know where to find the Cup races. And they're like, well, if you want to, you will. There is so much. I don't have to want to anything. Something will pop up for me to watch.
Well, and look at how much you just said it, how much we talk about on this, how many different race winners I'm rattling off of races that I watched.
Right.
Like how much did that, if I'm a race fan. I'm not a NASCAR Cup fan. I'm not a High Limit fan. I'm a race fan. We're race fans. So it's so easy to get lost in that shuffle because we just want to watch so much.
So if we are not, we talked, I'm like, hey, when's USAC Sprint Week start? Because I saw that they had, the 8 first-time winners or only-time winners of USAC, but none of that told me when the Sprint Week started.
Yeah.
And so I asked you, and you're like, oh, it starts Wednesday. And we're like,
but I had to look on Flow to get that schedule.
Right. So
I didn't know either.
I wish racing could audit some of that and help fans. And I feel like I'm, maybe old or whatever, but you struggle with the same thing. So, in today's world, everything's handed to us so easily, meaning whatever that might be, from my orders on Amazon to, whatever you can get so easily. And racing needs to be easier, not harder to find. It needs to be easier to find. Formula One will post Kimi Antonelli winning, and I have to go search their Twitter page. I don't know, 20 posts down before I get the top 3. And then I have to go another 20 posts down before I get the top 10. I want to just know, on that.
Global leading motorsports. Right.
And so then if I go into, obviously Meridian Speedway has done a phenomenal job, that they've hired somebody from the outside. They've hired somebody that's understanding. It's about growth. It's about finding what works for the fans. The metrics are looked at every week to say, okay, what resonated, let's tell stories about the families. Let's interview drivers. Let's build drivers. Let's get shared accounts. It's up in the 1,000 percentile improvement increase because it has somebody absolutely focused because that's their job. Mm-hmm. Instead of I'm good with social media or I just want to share what we do. There's just a real focus. And I'm not saying these other groups haven't. But us as fans are saying here and waving our hands saying it's not easy any longer unless you're just focused on one group. The algorithms have made it harder to do that. I wanted to talk a little bit about Meridian Speedway real quick. I don't know if you watched any of the battle, but your Uncle Dirk was race control this week.
Oh, yeah, I saw all over Facebook. I was reading everybody's comments.
And so, you know, it's really interesting on how passionate people are on a local level, you know, and what matters. And you want to be fair, and you want to do the right thing. And I think this is where social media doesn't help local racing, because nothing about that would I want to go see after all, just everybody just venting all of their venom. You know, when you're at a local track, you have the split second to make a decision, and you don't have cameras to look at. You don't have everybody's, you know, cameras that you want to see later, or who videoed what, or do anything. You're making a decision based on what you saw in front of you in the timely fashion, and get it out the door. Might be wrong, might be right, but you're doing the best you can at the moment. You know, to where we get so used to cameras and slow motion and replays and running. And, you know, it's a race at Meridian Speedway on a Saturday night, and maybe it's your only one, and it matters, and you want it to matter for the fans. But the hatred and the venom brought me back to when I was there, and just some of that was not fun times. You race at a local level for it to be fun, and you know, people are like, oh, they play their favorites, they play this, they play that. It's like, I'm sure they do, because it's people they hang out with, and it's kind of fun and friendly. And you know, I know they don't play favorites on, like, I know your uncle. I mean,
I've been in the tower when he's on race control.
Yeah, he does not care about anybody over anybody else at all.
No.
So, you know, went down. It was really interesting to watch it from that perspective today, of just passionate local tracks, and it still goes on like that.
And you gotta appreciate the passion.
Yeah, I love it. Now
there's a better way to go about it. Yes, absolutely. But if we're looking at the positives, there's people that are passionate. Now, some of the comments were more attacks on the track than argument about the ruling. That there's no place for. But again, I'm trying to focus on the positives of that. You gotta love the passion.
Yes.
But man, and this is not to say anything bad about Legend Car Racing or anything. Legend Car Racing always producing some drama, no matter where you're at in the country. If you're at Nashville, if you're at Meridian, if you're at Charlotte, if you're in SoCal, Legend Cars, they had drama always. But yes, back to your media thing. I going back to social media and your algorithm and what you get promoted to. Like, you know, I just did a quick little tweet to you, Zach, and nope, it's been posted. So I don't know that anybody can fix it. I don't know what that answer is like, because it's been posted, and High Limit posts theirs every week, and the Outlaws post theirs, and the Cars to It, like, they're there. We just follow so much racing that it gets kind of lost in the shuffle, and it's hard. And yes, like, you know, the NASCAR people are not wrong. If you wanted to know, yeah, you could know. But to your point, it shouldn't, in a world where everything has become so easily accessible, racing shouldn't be more difficult to find. Right. Which it is. The one major piece of constructive criticism that I could give anybody, from a race fan, strictly coming from a race fan, post a full, like, everybody has scoring except your Bowman Gray, which is hand scored, but everybody's got My Race Pass or Race Save or whatever. Post a full result rundown. Or if you're a track like Meridian that runs multiple classes, somebody knew who won. This would be my one constructive bit of criticism for Magic Valley and Meridian. I was trying to find who won Skunk Cup this week because they dealt with some rain. I was busy. It was my wife's birthday weekend. We were doing stuff, so I didn't get to fully watch it. I wanted to know who won the sprint car races. And I mean, I was searching and searching and searching, trying to find it. And the way I got it was through their little, like, they put together a little recap video, which are great. But it's like, it's kind of everything sped up. And so, like, I see Mike McGreedy go by, and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess he won. Give me Speed Tour Sprint Cars, winner. Street Stocks, winner. If I didn't get to catch a USAC race, I want to know where everybody finished, because I have drivers I like.
I'm the same.
Give
To me,
rundown.
you're going to keep me invested and interested if I can find out if I stay current.
Yep.
And that means by seeing who finishes well. Oh, wow, Briggs Danner won again. Like, now I'm going to try to find a little bit more.
But I don't want to just see that he won. I want to see, where did Bobby Santos finish?
Right.
Or where did Dakota Armstrong finish? Well, Leary's been fast. Where did he finish? Like,
why did he fall off?
Where did he finish?
Off? He must have had something happen. So now I'm going to try to find out what that is.
I'm going to go watch the highlights because I missed it, or I'm going to go back and watch the full race. Like,
I'm with you 100% and complain about it often. Because I just think it's needed. I think it keeps me interested. I also will see those same names and begin to see patterns and see who's doing well, because I can't watch everything. But if you take that away, and and I know the challenge too. I know that the challenge is locally is nobody wants to put it out until it's confirmed. And then guess what? They're all kind of there just having a good time too. And they don't want to work past, once the races are over, they're done.
Yeah.
So they don't want to do that. I mean, so I can't even get the stats to post them. That's the problem.
Yeah, that could be, that very well could be, absolutely is the problem.
Well, I know that's for a fact.
I know.
That you just mentioned.
I know that too. But as a may, that's my one piece of constructive criticism across social media, racing social media. I want a rundown.
Even NASCAR.
Even NASCAR. Well, shoot, NASCAR has their Instagram page, and I know the Cup Series is the Premier Division, or their Twitter page, but NASCAR has more than just the Cup Series. But if you went to their social media, you'd never know that.
Yeah.
Make it a NASCAR Cup Series page if you're going to do that. But if I go to NASCAR's page, I want to be able to find. I don't want to have to go to these different and try to figure out who posted what, or NASCAR was on Fox this week, so I'm going to go to theirs to find it. Like, if it's NASCAR, I want to be able to find it on NASCAR. Not,
I guess if
O'Reilly on CW. No.
If I had to do this, I think if I was the owner of something and I was dictating what I would want the social media account to be, I would say I should be able to look at the postings and it tell me the story of what happened.
100%.
And if I don't walk away there with clearly who sat on the pole, who won, and who finished where on the thing, you fail. Because that's what, as a race fan, I'm going to there. Now, weekly posts and all the other stuff, trying to garner attention, all that's very different.
Yeah, very different.
But for me, if you're running my social account, I should know the story through that social media.
Yep.
And very little does that.
Yeah. I will say, if you go back, like, to kind of give some more commending to Meridian, what they've done, like, I'll go watch that recap video and I'll see, okay, there was this wreck, there was this is the winners. And, like, you get that story, but I also want to see it written out, because that's the way my brain works.
Yeah,
I'm very I want this.
Yeah.
This is great, but I want this.
Flo does some of the best.
Flow, you get the videos throughout the night of highlights of whatever. Like, they do a phenomenal, but it's easy to get lost in that shuffle because they're posting from tracks that are across the country, this way. Like, there's 6 different events that they're posting in a night. So, I want to be able to find, like you said, a little easier, which is tough when you follow so much as we do. It is hard. I know there's going to be, it's uncontrollables for sure, but yeah, I think that the rundown piece is huge. That's what
we need to get one of those guests on.
Yeah. So, yeah, summer's hard, like we've said before.
Yeah.
But should be getting into a little bit of a cool off time. I know some August gets hot, so some tracks and series slow down a little bit in August. So hopefully we get kind of rolling here as the end of July and August rolls around and we can get regular guests back on. So yeah,
Right.
that was all I had. That was a good one. We got to recap two good weeks of racing. The heat of the summer racing's great. Man, it's a fun time to. It's as you know, we have our criticisms, our constructive criticisms, our celebrations. It's a fun time to be a race fan
Absolutely.
because we can talk for 55 minutes and still not feel like we got to talk about everything. So yeah, good time to be a race fan. Every Wednesday morning. Well, not every. I don't want to say that because last Wednesday morning we missed. Most Wednesday mornings should be pretty regular going here forward. Spotify and YouTube. Fast Motor Podcast signing off. Episode 24.